Mr. Jiu-Jitsu to add. Hey, finally, dude, I am so sorry.
McDojoLife, what's up, brother?
Another day, and another issue.
We did it. We did it. We're
Finally, we
live.
made it happen. So how you doing?
What's going on, Robert? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And I'm sorry we had to meet on my private page, but that's okay. I'll get it. I'll post it, and we'll make it happen another time with another page. So
it's not a problem. I'm actually live in my studio, which is my car.
you have the coolest studio, man. Like it's pretty legit. I feel like me and that seat behind you are pretty well connected. Like every time I see your video, the seat is like a part of the show.
No, I gotta start bringing. I have to start bringing guests with me and just start driving around and just bullshitting with them and talking with them. So that's
okay, that's cool.
Gonna be the next thing.
So
yeah, I'm probably gonna get an accident. I'm already a bad driver as it is. So
you got into an accident today?
No, I'm saying I'm a bad driver. I mean, there's a good chance I still could get an accident today, but I'm a bad driver. I'm saying if I had people in the car and I spoke to them, I'd probably get an accident, I'm saying. So.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, man, you got to drive safe, dude. You inspire too many people.
I try to, man.
So just a couple questions for you. I know we're on a little tighter time frame than I really wanted to be, which is okay. I mean, we'll do it again. But I had a couple questions for you. So the first one is, what got you kind of started on doing pretty much what you do now as Mr. Jiu-Jitsu, which is inspiring people?
Well, actually, I wasn't trying to inspire anybody, actually.
Okay.
Because of my job, I do construction, and I travel a lot for work. I travel between like 15 to 20 states a year. I do safety for construction companies, so I got to travel all over. And what would happen was I traveled to a lot of gyms. And so I was like, I go to all these gyms. I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to post a picture of all the gyms I go to. So this way, next time I travel, people will see it and be like, oh, come to my gym where you're at. Or, oh, I know a gym if you're working closer. So I was just doing it strictly as a networking for selfish reasons so I could find other gyms.
Okay.
So that's the only, I never did it. And then my buddies that don't train always called me Mr. Jiu-Jitsu because I would start, no matter what we talk about, I'll bring up Jiu-Jitsu. Like, all right, Mr. Jiu-Jitsu, what's they talk about football, I talk about Jiu-Jitsu. They talk about anything, and I would always talk about Jiu-Jitsu.
All right, that's cool.
I'm just addicted to Jiu-Jitsu. So one day I posted my thoughts, and a couple people shared it, and I was like, oh, that's because they were like, my thoughts are a little crazy. And I just posted my thoughts, and a couple people shared. The one day I was mad at a training partner for not showing up to roll with me, and I made a meme directed at him. And then a bunch of people shared it, and I was like, oh, that's weird, because the meme was very like centered toward one person, and people were like, oh, I feel like that way too when my partner doesn't show up. So then I would just start posting my thoughts, and I would make memes directly at like personal things in my life. And I don't know, within a couple weeks, it got like 1,000 followers, and then I would just start posting my thoughts, and then it started gaining momentum, and this is where we're at now. Craziness.
It's pretty cool. I think you have, last time I checked, over 147,000 followers on your Facebook page.
On Facebook, it's 173,000 on Facebook.
Oh, I was way off.
Yeah.
My bad. Sorry, other couple thousand.
No, actually, the thing is, I really don't push for followers. I appreciate that people do follow me. That's cool that people connect with me. But I probably post a lot of things that probably lose me a lot of followers. Because honest to God, I just post my thoughts. So I don't like wake up in the morning and be like, well, I'm going to talk about this issue today and see what I can piss off. It's just whatever. Like usually my posts are from like messages that people give me, my thoughts on it, or something that happened to me in training. It's all personal stuff with me, which is really weird that people actually connect to it because I'm a strange person. So.
And what I've noticed is like pretty much anybody who does martial arts, almost, I'm going to have to say about 75%, usually start because they're like super nerds. Like, just like they're starting because they got picked on, or they're starting because they had a hard time fitting in socially, or they're trying to find their niche. They didn't do baseball well, they didn't do football well, and then magically they found the arts, and that kind of helped change their life. So for you, do you feel like the arts changed your life in any way, or do you think it's just a day-to-day thing?
Oh, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has changed my life 100%. If it was, I'm 44 years old right now, and I'm pretty sure I probably wouldn't be married right now. I'd probably be hooked on drugs. I'd probably be 400 pounds. I'd probably be dead if it wasn't for Jiu-Jitsu. Jiu-Jitsu has given me goals that no other sport, no other hobby, no other lifestyle could do or would have ever done for me. I can honestly say that.
Yeah, definitely. I got started. I actually got put in the hospital by a group of like 5 kids when I was in middle school, and they stepped on my head, they stabbed me with pencils, and two teachers watched the whole thing and didn't stop it. They beat me for 5 minutes. And then a friend of mine who happened to be late to that class, thanks, dude, you should have showed up on time to help me out. But he handed me a card, and it was for karate. And it's like, you need this. And I was like, I guess I do. And my mom wouldn't let me do anything. She wouldn't even let me do football, baseball, basketball, because she was worried I'd get hurt. But then, of course, after that, she was like, definitely. And she gave it to me as a birthday present, and I've never stopped. And now I've been doing jiu-jitsu for about 8 years now. And it's definitely changed my mentality about martial arts completely. Jiu-jitsu is a key. So I always encourage people, if they've done other arts, to just try jiu-jitsu at least one time, just to see what it feels like, you know, because a lot of guys who do stand-up arts, they're like, oh, that's gay. You're rolling around with another man. Say that. It's like, well, you try it, and it doesn't become gay anymore. Magically, when all of a sudden, when another person who knows what they're doing puts their hands on you, the moment they put their hands on you is the moment you know they know what they're doing. And it's a very changing moment in anybody's life. So I always recommend people doing that.
Let me ask you a question, Robert, since we're talking about bullying and your situation you went through. A couple weeks ago, I posted, should you get revenge on a bully? Is it okay to get revenge on a bully? So those 5 kids that you said in middle school it happened?
Yeah.
Did you ever see them again? Did you ever contact with them later on in life?
No. I did have one interaction way later on in high school with a different bully. By this time, though, like, you know, kids talk, gossip goes around, and they just knew, because at that time, my first boxing match was when I was 15. So by that time, by high school, I was, you know, well, people knew I fought. It wasn't something I really advertised, but, you know, I hung around with those people, so people knew. But somebody did try me, and it was the strangest thing. Like, I just walked away. I really didn't care, which was weird, because I started martial arts with nothing but hate. I was like, dude, I'm gonna learn how to beat the shit out of people. I'm gonna learn.
And that's how everybody starts off. It's just natural.
But there's something so unexplainably humbling about getting into a ring with another human being and fighting them, because it's the most honest moment you will ever have with a human being. There is no lying when you fight somebody. So whenever it comes down to like fighting for bravado, or you're fighting to prove something, it just loses its flavor. You're like, it doesn't taste as good. You know, it's like going to Ruth's Chris for steak, and then magically you go over to, you know, Sam's Club, you know, for steak, and you're going, man, this doesn't taste the same. It doesn't have the same appeal, you know? So no, I did see your post, by the way, and I did connect with that, because, you know, I had that same issue, and it made me ask the same question. But at the end of the day, like, is you beating that person up going to affect you in a positive way? I mean, what is that really going to do for you and bettering you in your life? Because you're stuck in the past if you're worrying about revenge. Revenge does nothing but keep you there. You know, when you're worrying about your future, you should just cut that off, move on with your life. And I agree, having a success.
And that's the problem. That's the problem. I was trying to make people that if you're stuck in the past, it's not just the bullying. Everything in life is going to bother you. I'm not saying to bury it, but you have to move on from what happened. You have to. Now you're making yourself better. You're doing martial, and like you said, once you learn martial arts, even if you ran into those boys again, you actually feel pity for them.
Yeah. Well, you know, and then the other thing is like, you spend all this time competing with people who know what they're doing, and almost like I'm a super nerd. You ever see the movie or show Afro Samurai?
No, I haven't.
No, well, it's one of my personal favorite animes, but basically it's all about like who's number one, who's the best fighter in the world, and they're all fighting each other to see who's going to be the best, and they're only fighting each other because they know the other person is good. And after you fight people who know what they're doing, it makes you crave that. You know, the stimulus of beating somebody who doesn't know what they're doing loses all appeal to me anyway. Once I knew what I was doing, I'm actually craving a loss. I want to lose. And it doesn't mean that I'm going after the loss. It means I'm going after the feeling of being challenged. And if I win, awesome. But if I lose, I go, well, teach me something. Show me what I did wrong so I can be better. And then
that's why I tell people that you have to embrace losses. You have to, honest to God, when I have a good day at jiu-jitsu, a good day weightlifting, whenever I have a good day, I feel horrible. I know it sounds weird to say, because I need to feel that struggle. I need to feel that stress. If everything's clicking for me, I know I'm doing something wrong. Yeah, I need to constantly be in a state of struggle. That's how I'm wired, and that's why I think is the best way to succeed and move on.
Well, I agree. You know, the best path to success is failure. Just fail over and over again, and then that's how you succeed. You know, it's when you're afraid to fail is when you really fail, you know.
We'd make a great team, Robert. We'd be a bunch of losers.
Well, hey, man, I'm just saying this, you know, like, really at the end of the day, I think that my personal opinion is why I think that you're so successful is a little details that I think most people don't know. One of the details that I think some people don't know, you said it a few times, man, I think maybe some of your new followers don't know this, is you really do take the time to talk to almost everybody who messages you. That's like super rare. So how do you make the time to do that? Person. How do you do that?
I think, actually, I'm going to tell you a story. 3 days ago, I woke up for work, and I was messaging someone the night before, and the phone was still in my hand. And you know when you text someone, does the little bubbles that you're writing?
Yeah.
This person had little bubbles for 7 hours straight. He's like, either Mr. Jiu-Jitsu just died of a heart attack, or he fell asleep. It was one or the other. Because that's what I do. I'll 2, 3 in the morning, and I'll respond to everyone. And I try to respond to everyone on a personal level. I don't just be like, I don't want to just tell someone, you know, keep grinding, because that's cliche, you know, or you'll do better. That's cliche. I try to find, I ask people, sometimes I'll ask personal questions, and sometimes people get offended. I'm like, well, how did you get to that point? I ask them, well, why did this happen? Why are you here? And I'm not doing it to be nosy. I just want to find out if I have the right solution. If I don't have the right solution, I tell people straight up, look, I'm not the right person. Like a couple days ago, somebody was feeling very depressed, and they were thinking about killing themselves. And I was like, I would love to help you, but you're on the other side of the world. Tell me where you're at, and I'll Google right now someone that can find you, like a suicide center or someone around you that could find you. And I wasn't trying to be nosy. I felt that person needed help right away. And me just talking through a text message wasn't going to be enough. Me through video, they needed a human being to come interact with them. So sometimes I'll ask real personal questions, you know. Now my wife thinks I'm crazy. My wife's like, who are you talking to? Who are these people you're talking to? I'm like, these are people I connect with, you know, on Facebook. And at the beginning, I didn't take it that serious. But then when I saw people were sending me messages about almost killing themselves, how depressed they were, how they wanted to change their lives, I almost felt like it was my duty. I felt like this is something I need to do. So
yeah.
I'm happy doing it. And people are like, you know, I feel bad bothering you. I'm like, don't. You know, sometimes it'll take me 2-3 days to get back to messages, but I get back to all the messages. So
makes you a pretty stand-up dude, man. I'm saying that's not easy. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I got like, once I posted that I was going to be physically going to studios and talking to McDojos in person, I think that within 15 minutes of me posting that, I think I had over 120 emails drop in my inbox. Wow.
I believe that's right. Like, are you still going to do that?
Yeah, still going to do that.
That's pretty. I want to watch those episodes. That's going to be pretty crazy.
You know, and the thing is, I think people are misunderstanding what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to their gyms and I'm going to take a trial class incognito. I'm just going to take a trial class and see what they offer and give them an opportunity to show people what they really do, you know. And then after that, I'll explain who I am and let them know, like, would you like to talk and discuss about whatever it is they're accused of, so that way they have a voice. So people are assuming I'm just going to go beat people up, and that's ridiculous. Why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't solve anything.
Hey, the Gracies did it in the 90s. It worked out pretty good for them.
Well, I'm sure there'll probably be a few people when they find out who I am when I go to their studio will try to beat me up, and hopefully my actual training will beat their magic kung fu no-touch knockouts. But, you know, when you confront people, weird things happen. So we'll see, you know.
Be careful. I actually look forward to seeing this, and I love the what you did before with the lady and the guy.
Yeah, like, and
I think that was really cool. I think you should do more stuff like that. I think it got a lot of interest. It got a lot of buzz. People were writing articles about it. I think that's a great thing for you to do for your page. Just even for your branding would be great, because people really connected with that. I think like matches, like even again have do it again, another woman and a guy. I think that was great. I think it got a lot of people's thinking going again. You know, because we got a little.
In my opinion,
since the Gracies in the 90s, since we didn't have any challenge matches, and this was pretty good. You know, there was, you know, it wasn't that violent. It was pretty. And the guy when they spoke afterwards, he sounded pretty cool. So
I think he was putting on more of a show because he was getting the attention, and he was like, well, people already assume I'm a bad guy, so why not just ham it up?
Just go with it. Yeah.
You know, obviously he proved himself to be a much different human being for two reasons. One, he showed up. I mean, no one thought he was going to show up. And then two, whenever we got shut down the first time, he was like all about continuing to do it. He was like, I'll meet you any place, anywhere to make this happen. And he could have gone the opposite way. He could have been like, you failed. Yeah. This is the end. Your failure. Insert your failure here. But he didn't. So I give him some respect for that. Now, for us doing that, we got a lot of flack because they actually kind of got to know each other a little bit, and they didn't hate each other. And that's usually step one to fighters not doing. You know, you're supposed to not like the other person. But at the end of the day, because they didn't like have this violent, bloody assault on each other, people got offended by that. And I have to say, though, the majority of people thanked me. The majority did. Now, there were some people who were like, dude, you need to give people refunds. And I was like, if, let's say, for instance, Conor McGregor versus Mayweather, just because you're not happy with the result of that fight doesn't mean that they give you that back. They made that happen like they said they would, like we did, you know?
Well, Rob, I'm going to give you a little piece of advice. You're never going to make people happy on the internet. You never will.
That is crazy.
There's people that I've straight up helped, and then 2 days later they'll get mad at my post, and they'll be like, you're a fucking idiot, Mr. Jiu-Jitsu. You're an asshole. You're this and that. I'm like, 2 days ago, you were just praising me, so I just let it go. I don't care.
Yeah, like I'm almost.
But you'll never please the internet. The internet is a ruthless bitch.
No, yeah, it's been very kind to me so far. So far, it's been kind. I have a few people who hate, but like.
She can be good to you, but she can be ruthless too. So.
Yeah, man. Like, well, so here's a good one for you. Good question. So I know that you have a lot of people contact you a lot. You know, they tell you probably quite a lot of intimate details about themselves and issues that they have, and that is a big responsibility to hold. It's not a responsibility I'm sure you asked for, but it seems to be one that you stepped up to the challenge of. And since you've done that, what is probably hands down the craziest thing that you've probably had to interact with so far? You don't have to mention names, you know.
No, I do. I'm pretty good at not mentioning names. It was about this was a while ago, but a gentleman was messaging me. He heard I was going to be in. I don't want to say the area now, but I was going to be in a certain state. And he said he wanted to train, and he actually invited me. He was sending me a lot of messages because I want to come pick you up from the airport. I'm like, well, that's fine. I'm here for work. You know, I'll just come to your place and we can roll because I got mats and this and that. And he told me he was a catch wrestler, which is cool. Catch wrestling is awesome. It's definitely legit. So I was like, yeah, we can roll. We can do whatever you want. So I went to his place, and I got a bad vibe right away when I walked in the door. He had mats in the living room. And he had a lot of candles lit, like all over. There was candles lit all over this guy's fucking house. And I was like, all right, this is a little strange. And then he asked me if I wanted some wine. Now, I don't know about you, but alcohol before rolling, it's not really a smart thing to do.
Well, that's a very specific thing to drink.
Yeah, he goes, would you like some wine? And I was like, before we roll. And then he started doing these weird stretches and stuff. And I just had this, it was weird. The lights were kind of low. There was candles by the mat in the living room, the wine. So I lied to him and I said, hey, I got to go to my car and grab my phone charger because my phone's about to die. I go to the car and I just took off. And I blocked him after that. So if you're watching right now, you're a big weirdo.
Yeah,
okay?
That's really weird.
So that's one of the weirdest things.
People
send me people will send me some other outlet, but that's like one of the weirdest like interaction things. It was scary. I'm like, this dude probably has something in the drink. I'm gonna be sleeping in 2 minutes, and he's gonna
back mount you is what's gonna happen. You're gonna wake up and he's gonna be in full back mount.
The instinct took over. I'm like, I'm gonna run to my car, grab my truck. I'm like, I'll be right back. My phone's about to die, and I just got in the car and I gunned it. I gunned it out of there. That rental car was spinning wheels, and I was out of there. But yeah, I get a lot of weird stuff. People send me nudes, which is really awkward. You know, like guys will send me naked pictures. I'm like, why? It's a jiu-jitsu page. Why are you sending me naked pictures? What the fuck?
Dude, like what you should do, send that shit to me. I'll call them on blast. I'll post it for you. I'll be like, so-and-so's.
Oh, I don't even respond. I'm just like block. I'm just blocked. And then, but you know, a lot of people are trying to sell stuff too. And I try to keep the page very non-selly. I try to keep it like my thoughts. So people are always trying to sell me stuff. I've had some big jiu-jitsu names actually get pissed at me because they're like, well, let's team up and push my video. I'm like, well, this isn't the page for that. I'm like, that's cool. I appreciate that you thought of me. And I know you're a big superstar black belt, but this isn't the page. And they usually get kind of annoyed and they'll stop following me afterwards, or they'll just quit interacting with me if they don't see that there's any business connection. But I don't really give a shit. So.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, we're gonna our expansion is we just dropped our Patreon today because it's going to cost me so much money to travel. So, but that, you know, that's, I think that's, I think that's pretty,
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
We'll see what happens.
You know what? You know, you're going to be the first to do it, just like you were the first to do that with the video. So you might be a trendsetter. I guarantee other people are going to start copying what you're doing. So it's awesome. So.
Well, I appreciate the support, man. You've supported me even during that fight. You know, I hit you up every once in a while and be like, hey, what do I do? And you were always real cool with helping me out.
You know, I talked to a lot of the big jiu-jitsu pages. A lot of them, they keep it on the DL. Some, you know, but I talk to everyone. So.
Which is cool, man.
Names. Cool. I pretty much talk to every single jiu-jitsu page out there. I talk to all the big name jiu-jitsu black belts. You know, I try to interact with them. They always ask me stuff, and I don't call out any names because it's not how I am. But it's just I try to interact with everyone. So.
Now I do have a couple more questions. Like,
sure.
You know, I know that, you know, obviously you have grown organically. It wasn't something you pushed. It just happened. You know, and I think people tend to follow people who are real. You know, people who are just being naturally themselves. I think that is addicting to people. You know, I think in a world where a lot of people are always fighting to be somebody else, I think that it makes people almost respect you even more when you're just genuinely you. And then so since you have grown so organically, and you know, obviously you're a name now, what do you think that the future is kind of for you in the martial arts community and stuff like that?
I want to keep doing exactly what I'm doing. I want to keep connecting with people, talking with people. I want to try to help people find solutions, struggling people. I'm not here to help you win the ADCC World Champions. Go talk to Tom DeBlas about that. I'm not here to make you, you know, the next IBJJF champion. Go talk to Gava. I'm here to help that working man struggle, that single mom that's struggling. I'm here to help her with any problems they have. I'm here for people who are struggling. If you're struggling, because I struggled, and if I can help you to not go through the same mistakes I made, then it makes me feel great. And this is what I want to do. I just want to help more and more people. I really don't have any aspirations to become a big motivational speaker. I really don't have any aspirations like that. Other people can do that. I just want to, for the rest of my life, I could do videos here from this car and I would be fine. I don't need 1 million followers. I don't care if 100 people watch my video. I just like connecting with that one person where after I make a video, he sends me the message, goes, you know what, Mike? I got you. I get what you're saying. You know, that touched me. And I feel great when I get those messages. So if I can keep getting messages like that, I'm happy. That's all I care for.
That's cool. That's cool. Now with in terms of, you know, you help people, you've talked to people, you know, you told me the craziest story, which I think that you probably did the right thing. Leave, or you may not have a page right now. You may be missing a few kidneys.
Yeah.
But I would say, you know, I was always curious, you know, like, obviously you have these people who are really confiding in you, which I don't know why. To me, it kind of blows my mind, you know, because you're a complete stranger to those people. And I think that they're almost treating you very similar to like they're somebody they can confide in, like they would a best friend, which is crazy. You know, it's not crazy that they're asking you, but it's crazy that you have the ability to affect people in that way. And that's amazing. But do you feel like you know, what would you say is, I guess, one of the people, or not, you don't even have to say their name, but what would you say is one story that you have about something that you've actually done to truly help somebody?
I had a kid in a city I was in. He was 16 years old. He was getting bullied, and he asked me if I would walk him home from school. And I spoke with a couple lawyers, and they told me, you know, I told him, what if I videotape him? If I videotape us walking from his school to his home, I'm going to be working that area for a couple days. And my lawyers were like, you know, that's not really the smartest thing to do. You're going to be with an underage kid and you're going to videotape it walking in from school. But what I did was I sent him a jiu-jitsu shirt.
Okay.
And he started wearing this shirt to school every day. And people started asking about jiu-jitsu if he trained. And he said people quit bothering him after that, just by wearing a Brazilian jiu-jitsu shirt.
That's pretty awesome.
I actually met up with the kid. I actually met up with his family after that. I told him this is the reason why I didn't walk him from school, because there were too many legal issues with walking with the kid from his school to his home. You know, if the parents would have asked me, it would have been different since CMS. But I did meet the parents. I met the kid. I took him a bunch of jiu-jitsu shirts. It was pretty awesome. So I think about that story all the time. Actually, I still talk to the kid on Facebook all the time. So that's one of the biggest impacts. I get a lot of messages from kids that get bullied, boys and girls. I get a lot of females that send me messages that have been domestic abuse cases. Some have been raped, some have been near rape. So I get a lot of messages like that, and I try my best with whatever knowledge I have to help them or find them. You know, I've helped girls find female students in the area. If I roll at a place and I roll with a girl, I'm like, you know, I remember, hey, I roll with a girl at this school. I'll send her a message that you're in the area. So those are one of the most impactful things I get from messages, like stories like that. So.
Now that kid did he already do jiu-jitsu, or was it something that he wanted?
No, he didn't. He didn't know jiu-jitsu. And I was like, hey, I got a great idea. Put a jiu-jitsu shirt on. Because whenever I wear a jiu-jitsu shirt, I walk through the mall, people always stare at it. And, or you go through the airport, wear a jiu-jitsu shirt, and people always look at it. They're like, because it's not a normal shirt. You'll see a football shirt, you'll see a basketball shirt. But every once in a while, the jiu-jitsu shirt pops up, and it catches people's eyes. They're like, okay, that's that stuff from the UFC. They've heard about it. So it catches people's eyes. So he wore the shirt a couple of days, and people asked him if he started training. I was told him, just lie. Say you started training.
Now,
so I found the school in his area. No, I found the school in his area. They found him. He started training. He's training right now. He's training right now.
Cool.
So it's but the bullying stopped because of a T-shirt. So
that's cool, man. Yeah, like if you know, like if you ever have any issues finding some of these kids, like a program or whatever, just hit me up and I'll make sure I help you out and find a school.
Oh, I definitely will. I tell everybody, if you have a school, send me your info. So I just have it in my inbox. And if someone sends me a message from Canada, from New York, from Germany, wherever it's at, I'll stick in my head. I'm like, oh, here's a gym here in Germany. Here's a gym here in England. So if you got a gym, send me your info. So
cool. You know, I know you got to go here in a second, so I'll try to start wrapping it up.
Yeah. What time is that? I don't even know what time it is.
It's almost 6:20.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we got about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Exactly.
My son. I'm actually outside my son's baseball practice, and from here I got to take him to a birthday party.
Got crazy time management, dude. You know how to manage your time well.
I try to.
You know, last couple things. You know, real fast. I want to say I really appreciate you coming on. You know, this is our first attempt at doing this, obviously with the technical difficulties. But you know, our goal is to just introduce as many people to legitimate martial artists and entities as we can. And then obviously we're trying to take away the frauds, the fakes, the phonies, and the pedophiles and stuff like that. And I wanted to ask you a question about one of the things that we're going after here recently. And you know, if anybody wants to know all the details and all that stuff, they can just go to our page or whatnot. But basically what happened was there's a gentleman who was under a very, very high ranking black belt in jiu-jitsu. And he molested a 15-year-old girl. And he was convicted, but his sentence did not put him on any sex offender registry for some reason. And once he was basically done with serving whatever he was serving, he now teaches at 3 studios in his area. And, you know, what are your thoughts on self-regulation in the arts? You know, like his instructor basically said, well, the system already handled it, so we're going to let it be. But to me, that's bullshit. You know this guy was a pedophile, and you're allowing him to be around children. And that's fucking wrong. I don't care who you are. I don't care what the system says either. Like, this is the second sexual offense this guy has had. Don't you think there'll be a third? And don't you think maybe if you were that person who was in charge of him, that maybe he might do it again? You know, what are your thoughts about self-regulation in the arts?
Am I allowed to say this black belt's name, or you don't want me saying his name?
You already know his name?
Are we talking about Rickson Gracie?
We are. We are talking about Rickson Gracie.
Yeah. So, yeah. I'm not associated with the Gracies, so I can say the name I want. So
okay,
I knew that's who you were talking about.
Real fast before you.
I think it's a sad and a sixth.
Rickson Gracie is not the guy we're talking about who molested
No, it's
the
a
kid.
student. It's a student, and people are upset that he didn't regulate it. I did read a little about that, and I think it's a disgrace. I think that when you're at that level, and as soon as you hear something like that, you have to step in and do something right away. It's there's no this person's representing your name. You have to step in right away, and you gotta cut it off right away. Especially, you said it was his second offense or third offense.
It was a second offense. He got hit with a soliciting and prosecution.
I mean, you should be gone after the first. I mean, after the second, what exactly are you waiting for?
Yeah, and you know, I think
what exactly are you waiting for?
You know, he did release a statement saying he's no longer with his organization and stuff. But what really irks me is even though he's no longer affiliated with Rickson, which is great, good on him, he's still teaching at another studio. So like now he's still working with children, you know, like what the hell, dude? Like, don't you think?
Well, you know, But see, that's the problem. Martial arts aren't regulated. So it's, unless someone decides to do, someone that's not into money decides to do a real Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu association where they regulate that, with a school, where you have a certificate school that these instructors have had criminal background checks, their business fingerprinting. This is constantly going to happen. It's unfortunate it's going to happen, but it's constantly going to happen. But that's why the internet's so great, because the internet can call these kind of people out. Like I said, the internet is ruthless. So, and Hickson made that statement probably after he got all the pressure. Am I right?
Yeah,
I don't think he was making any statements until the internet. Until the internet attacks, nobody makes any statements. When the internet attacks and they see it's bad for money and bad for business, that's when the statements come out. So right now, all we have is the internet and people like you guys who are willing to expose people. But it's a shame, you know. It's, if I'm going to put my child into school, I'm going to do a lot of homework. I'm going to do a lot of Googling, background checks. And you know what, for you business instructors out there, I think if you're a coach and you put out there that all our coaches have background checks, here are their clean records, it might be good for business too. What do you think about that?
Hell yeah. I think you're spot on with that. I do think that there should be and not just jiu-jitsu. That's another thing about our page is I don't just think about it in jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu, more than most arts, self-regulates really well, usually. But when you're dealing with like people who just make up their own art, then they go hide in the weeds somewhere, and they might be some local studio. Next thing you know, you're like, well, you might not ever hear about them, you know. But if there was like a regulating body over martial arts that did require like, hey, if you're not certified through this, then you're not legit, you know. And it would be non-political, you know. It would just be like, these are the requirements you should have: at least X amount of years training. You should have at least this background check done, local and federal. You should have, some type of anti-child abuse program certificate that you should have to take. You know, all of these things should be put in place.
Something on the wall that says this person has went through, you know, the legal system to check his background. You know, get a fingerprint. See, you know, it's just, I think it would be good for owners out there, man. If you're an owner, you're listening to this, put this on your wall. Let people know, hey, you know, everyone is clean here. Everyone's been checked here. You know, there's nothing to hide here. You know, so
definitely. It's almost time to go, but I just want to say thank you so much. And if you could do me a favor real fast, if you could just tell everybody how they can get a hold of your account, so that way they can follow you and maybe you can help somebody else.
You can request me on my regular Facebook, Michael Mihas. You can go to my page, Mr. Jiu-Jitsu, or on Instagram. It's Mr. Jiu-Jitsu page on Instagram. Any of those three places, come find me, send me a message, talk, troll me, do whatever you want. I'm game for anything.
Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for being on, and we'll hit you up later, and hopefully we can do this at another time again.
Thank you, Robert. We'll definitely do it again, brother.
Thank you, man. You have a great night.
Peace.